Good morning, everyone. This is Tony from her Homestead Skills. And yes, I have canned one batch of my chicken stock, and I decided after everything was cleaned and put away that I would start a second batch, and I have a third one in the freezer. So I've determined that, well, as long as I feel up to it, I will just continue to make it, and I can both freeze dry and can the first batch I canned. And I think the next two batches I will likely freeze dry. So, and yeah, probably continue to make this ongoing at this point while we can. Beyond that, I think I have to start planning more and more of what to do this fall as far as putting things away. Trying to find new cubby holes for things because I really don't have, I think I've used up every space available, but you can always find space to put jars and put things if you really want to. So as I said in the past, an empty jar takes up as much space as a full jar. So whether I fill it with canned goods or whether I fill it with freeze-dried foods or dehydrated foods or fermented foods, it still takes up the same amount of space, and I still have lots of empty jars. So I have to work on that. That is my plan. And yes, they are hidden away in closets and here and there and under tables. Now, I have determined that is still the best course of action for me, is to focus on what I can do. You can't do too much of anything worldwide. Maybe one individual here or there can change the world, but I certainly don't think that is me. So I do what I can to encourage people to continue to look forward, to not get depressed. We will get through all of this. It's just, it has to go through its paces, and it has to just take a path and come out the other end. You know, there's actions always have consequences, and no matter which one, you know, sometimes you do have the consequences that you ask for because that action specifically creates that, but every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now that's a given. Okay, and that is science. That is not Fauci's law. That is Newton's law. It's one of the laws of motion, and another one of his laws of motion is that whatever is at rest stays at rest. And I suspect that at this point there are some things that have started moving. They're no longer at rest. So let's see what some of the actions from some of this motion will do. Many of you have been prepping for, you know, quite a long time. Some as long as me, some longer than me, some are just starting. Whatever stage you're at, just go for it. Don't be discouraged by how little you've done or how much you have. I think it's still wise to continue to put away as much as possible. There is a lot of talk about potential World War III or a civil unrest, civil wars. While I don't know about World War III, yeah, it's always possible. It's always possible, but we don't see it on the horizon yet. But civil unrest is becoming very common, and it's something that I really do expect to accelerate, and you're going to see it in more and more countries because the world is going through a lot of change. So whether the change is good for the world or bad for the world or whatever the case is, it does cause unrest because change affects everyone, whether they want it or whether they don't want it. So be prepared for change and be prepared on how you are going to deal with it. Now, change occurs all the time. It's nothing new. I'm sure that the world I live in is completely different from the world my mother grew up in, and once again, even more so from my grandmother's era. But there has been an increase in the amount of change in shorter and shorter periods of time that, you know, in my own lifetime I've seen go from no technology or very little technology to now we have AI on the horizon. So that is huge change in one lifetime. And it's not over yet. Lord knows where AI will take us in, 10, 20 years if I'm still around. So yes, sometimes we have to adapt to change. Sometimes we can reject it. And certainly if we feel it is unethical, we can always reject it. But we are all part of the whole, and none of us, as I said to somebody, that no man is an island and no country is either, not anymore. So, famous poem by John Donne, "Ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." So yeah, we all have to be prepared for whatever's coming our way, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I would suggest that there's, this thing with the elections, do your part. And make sure that you do your part. But other than that, I don't know that there's anything more, Sure, stock up, prepare, make sure that your safety considerations are all in order and working, whatever that is. And look after your own. And try not to get too upset about the current events, because once again, all of this is a distraction. And this whole scenario with Donald Trump being convicted in court, although it seems to have taken up a lot of people's time, energy, and interest, and it seems to be on the forefront of all the news. And yes, they're still trying to make Donald Trump the center of attention, and I don't think he's the one doing it. So I think the idea is to take the focus off the other fellow. Now, Joe Biden won the last election from his basement, and I suspect that Trump could win this election from jail if need be. So I don't really foresee that as too much of an issue, whichever way that goes. And there's a strong possibility that they may try to do that, thinking that it will help. And I get back to the old adage that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So I think people have to really think twice about what they're doing. But that's out of my hands and out of my control, and only God knows, and He controls everything. He knows what's going on, and He allows certain things to happen for His own reasons. And in His own time, He will right every wrong, wipe away every tear. But that doesn't mean that we don't have tears in our lives, and it doesn't mean that we don't have to face trials and tribulations. We do. We all do. I don't think there's one human being who escapes that. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how poor you are. I don't care what color you are. We all have things to bear. And yes, I do keep hearing talk about, oh yes, you will own nothing and be happy. And I suspect that comes from those that have everything and realize it doesn't make them happy. So maybe we should make sure that if they want to go that route, that they're the first ones that give up everything that they have so that they could try their idea at happiness without any material goods whatsoever. My mother-in-law always said that money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure can keep away a lot of misery. So I suspect that people who have tons and tons of money don't necessarily have happiness, but that's not your and my fault. We're not the ones that have that trial to bear. We have others. And it may be lack, and it may be loneliness, and it may be all other things, but we each have our own burdens to bear, and so do the rich. And I don't believe for a minute that they get off without suffering. So anyway, let's just do what we can to face the future with as much strength with as much perseverance and with as much preparation as we possibly can. And keep the fear at bay, because the fear will kill you more than anything else. Anyway, as I said, I've already finished one pot of chicken stock, and I'm on my way to making my second and third and fourth, and I have to make some more bread. So I'm going to post this video, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.